Yeah, I don't know how interested people are, but I was going to continue that on. I was talking about walking to Tibet, and take these frigging glasses off, and I was just going to walk, and if I survived it, it could have been a good experience. It didn't matter whether I survived it, actually, to be honest. I mean, if I'm prepared to walk to Tibet, then realistically it was all about, well, what do you gain from it? You know what I mean? What would I gain from it? Well, I'd gain something from it, from the fact that I could cut myself away from everything. You know what I mean? Everything that I once knew, or thought I once knew. I wanted to be. Did I want to be a part of society? Did I want to be a part of society? I didn't. You know, no one chooses to go and walk to Tibet. You know, if they want to be part of the group, the clique. You know, the person that's classed as, oh no, there's Jimmy. Let's all say hello to Jimmy. Jimmy's part of the clique. Jimmy's accepted within society. Hang on a second. But no, I wasn't prepared to. Well, I was prepared to just walk away from society, walk away from everything. And you might ask, well, why would you be prepared to do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You have experiences along the way, don't you? Life is one big experience, you know, this thing that we do. It's an experience in which we're possibly here to learn as we go. One way of looking at it is this: when we're born, we're taken off path straight away. That's what I feel. I mean, when I look at it, we're taken off path because, you know, we're put into an element of distraction. We're put into this controlled environment, this matrix, and we're asked to adhere to the rules and regulations set out. What happens if you were born onto this earth and you weren't given any distractions? That, you know, actually you were given like a basic education enough to be able to converse language-wise, for instance. You know what I mean? So say if you were taught English and you were taught the basic skills and this, that and the other, but you weren't corrupted by all the crap that comes with, you know, growing up in an all Western environment, for instance, you know what I mean? And you're not bullied and spat on, and you know, you have to get yourself into a fight and all that sort of crap, you know, for the wrong reasons. You know, fighting is one thing, but there's fighting when you don't need to fight. There's defending yourself when needing to defend yourself. Not necessarily putting out the offensive, but utilising it on the defensive. Kung Fu is all about the defensive element. It's not about the aggressive element to it. You know, it's about control. It's about, what is it? David Carradine, I think it was, and there was something that was said. What was it? It was pretty good, actually. It's when we look at the path in life that most of us have to go through. Here we go. This is technology. This is where it lets me down. I can't find what it is. D. Let's have a look. D. David Carradine. All right, mate. Come on. David Carradine. Here we go. I sometimes listen to this and I wonder to myself, if you kept it, if you managed to be able to keep it this simple, then life itself would be a lot more simpler. or simplified, one could really concentrate on gaining a perspective on what it is that they're supposed to be doing within this reality. And hopefully, out of that comes a person finding their true path on what it is that they're supposed to do, to carry out, to be a part of in this reality. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's have a listen to it.
Master, how may I walk a peaceful path when the world is so peaceful?
Peace lies not in the world, Master, but in the man who walks the path.
But in my path may be men not filled with peace.
Then seek a different path.
And if at each turn appear those who would be violent and do not love peace,
To reach perfection, a man must develop equally compassion and wisdom.
but Master, how do I not contend with a man who would contend with me?
In a heart that is one with nature, though the body contends, there is no violence. And in the heart that is not one with nature, though the body be at rest, there is always violence. Be, therefore, like the prow of a boat. It cleaves the water, yet it leaves in its wake water unbroken.
Wow, that worked. Touchscreen. The touchscreen worked. That's pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. So what do we get from that? What do we get from that? That peace doesn't lie on this earth necessarily. That there's always going to be an element of like darkness, goodness, darkness and light. There's going to be positivity and negativity in this reality, no matter what. But the point being is that it's the person that follows that path that is able to find that balanced element. And so if something negative does come in, you're able to counteract it. You'll be able to keep reliant on a balance that's needed in order to be able to counteract it. So whether it be through communication, whether it be through physicalities, you know what I mean, a fight, you know what I mean, the capacity to defend oneself. In the end, there's always going to be challenges that we have to face, you know, in this reality and in life. And there is corruption, there is darkness, there is the negatives. But what we need to do is, if you're the person that's looking to find a path, you know, allow that vessel to be able to pass over the water, but without breaking the water itself. That's about keeping the balance. It's about a vessel being on the water, but without breaking the water necessarily. I could go down that same element of water in a speedboat and just rip it all up and cause waves and waves and waves. Or I could just peacefully pass down that river. And maybe if I keep a peaceful mind, if I keep breathing in and out, and keep with the natural flow, that unlike a speedboat that has a capacity to go wrong or run out of fuel or whatever, this and cause a negative element. It cause a negative element. It cause negativity to the edges of the banks of the river. Instead, I'm just passing down, and it takes a little bit longer. What was it? The hare and the rabbit. You know, the story of the hare and the rabbit. Just take the peaceful, and along the way you can concentrate, and you can think, and you can meditate, and you can watch and observe and learn and listen along the way, instead of wearing a helmet, in a speedboat giving it big licks. Big friggin' licks. All because you just want to get fucking laid. That's why I've got my motorbike. I've got my BMW motorbike. And I look like someone off the TV. So I'm special. Even though I've got no fucking personality. And I've spent my fucking entirety of my life trying to gain the money to be able to buy this BMW fucking bike to make me look good now. I'm lacking in all kinds of things. Hey, but I'm happy now. I'm happy now, but I'm still lacking in a lot of things. But the person that just takes that natural, slow path, maybe they have a capacity to be able to learn as they go along. And by the time that they do get to the end, they realise that actually I didn't really need that motorbike to get laid, to fulfil what lacks inside me. In the end, I can't take the motorbike to the etheric plane when I move on. It's not the motorbike that's going to make the difference. It's going to be my mind itself. It's going to be what I bring with me, the very essence, my soul element, my light being. Whatever it is, it detaches away from my physical element when I depart from this third dimensional reality. It's the element of vibration, my energy. What have I learned in the process? It would be nice to have my Lamborghini Countach out now. It would be nice to have all these nice clothes, a good haircut, clean teeth, and a pair of glasses that don't wobble around. That would be really nice. It would be nice to have all those elements and essences work in conjunction for me rather than against me, or me trying to find the balance needed. My glasses broke, and they're scratched, and they're falling apart, and that's about to break off as well. But I found the balance through the use of black masking tape. That's my balance. That is my balance. And so I'm still capable of utilising this technology. It's just, it doesn't look good. I go into town with these glasses, with them flopping around, me looking like a dick with my unclean teeth, my acne, my spots because I've not got the right vitamins inside me, and the fact that I can't expel the crap and the toxins that's in my body, and the fact that my hair makes me look like some stupid dickhead, that I haven't got a nice haircut, and I wear a fucking shit top. But I'm happy with myself in that sense. I mean, I'm comfortable with myself. I don't feel like I have to go and prove anything. Often the case is that when I have to go into town, or I've gone into town, I change my appearance, I change my look, because it makes them feel better about themselves. It makes them feel comfortable. If I go in there, and when I say they, I'm talking about the majority. It's not the majority of the indigenous people, it's the Westerners. Because if I end up in a place like El Centro, as mentioned before, and I look like a gimp like I do now, then that makes people feel uncomfortable. We can't have that, can we? We can't have people feel uncomfortable, So we've got this projection, this physical projection. We judge a book by its cover, as it were. And it is key. Sometimes you do need to shave and have a haircut and a shirt, because that's what makes the difference. That's possibly what gets you a job, so you can be a good slave to the system. And obviously you need to be a slave to the system because you need money. You need money because you need to be able to pay to stay alive. And the more money you've got, the greater you can look within societal levels, and you can get laid. And that's what life's all about, isn't it? It's about getting laid, it's about looking good in front of people. Or I could go into town like I sometimes do. I look like a bag of fucking shit. But like I said, I'm comfortable with myself, and when someone does overcome that first materialistic barrier, oh, it really looks like a bag of shit, but I'm going to try it on anyway. Or my God, this guy speaks English. In fact, the way he pronounces, what he talks about, how he comes across, his body language, you know, completely overrides the fact that he looks like a fucking tit and he's got bad teeth. And, you know, he hasn't eaten properly for days, if not weeks. He overrides that because he has a capacity to be able to show that, you know, he has an intelligence about it. 70% of communication, I believe, is something to do with body language alone. So, however I look, people can turn around and they can judge it. They can say, oh, well, that guy is all clean and tidy. And he's, you know, I'm not an overly unpleasantly looking person, I wouldn't have said. But the more pleasant I look, the easier it is for the, you know, for people to be able to want to engage. I've had that a few times. I've gone into places, especially El Centro, and I've gone into El Centro and I've gone in there wearing a pair of cut-off shorts and a shit top, my hair all over the place and this, that, and the other, and people look at me and they go, who the fuck is this scumbag? This packy fucking shit cunt, wanker fuck. Who the fuck is this cunt? You know what I mean? Why am I made to feel uncomfortable with this fucking shit cunt that's just walked in here? But the bar staff know me. The bar staff turn around and go, hello Jigger, how are you? Can I get you a drink? Would you like some beers today? And I turn around and say, hi guys, how are you? Are you doing alright today? Yeah, I'm alright, I'm not too bad, thanks. You know what I mean? Great. Well look, tell you what, if I could trouble you for 3 cans of Amigos, and I'll exchange it for these talismans here, you know, 1750 ringgit, you know what I mean? I'll give you 1750 ringgit, and you give me those 3 Amigo beers. Thanks very much. Did you have a good weekend? Yeah, I did have a good weekend. And people are sat on the table going, what the fuck? It's amazing what you can teach monkeys to do nowadays, isn't it? He speaks quite good English. Maybe he is English. Sounds English. Yeah. So there's something obviously more to this person than meets the eye. Because previously, what they were thinking was, you're a fucking shit cunt scumbag. Yeah, I suppose in a lot of ways I am a bit of a shit cunt fucking scumbag, you know what I mean? I can be a shit cunt scumbag. You know, I can be that. If people want me to be. If I'm forced to be a shit cunt fucking scumbag. I can also be a fairly pleasant chap. I can be another human being. I can be in Lakesh. I can be them having another experience. And maybe they could actually learn something from me. And I'm sure there's probably something I can learn from them. Maybe another language, maybe some information. You know what I mean? That might be of interest or importance to me at that time, or maybe later on in my life. You know? But first off, we have a division. We have this judgment. And it's judgment that's a key factor in normal everyday society. Judgment. To be judged, to judge others. And we all do it. We know the film Crash. If you haven't taken the time to see the movie Crash, but we're talking about races and cultures and religions and all that sort of business. It's all taken into consideration. It's quite a good movie, although it's probably demonic in its nature. There's probably some demonic element to it that I haven't actually quite worked out yet. But I watched the movie. In the process of me watching the movie enabled for me to gain what I gained from it. Now, for the average person, say the average person in Suffolk, and you look like that, you ain't going to have any problems. You're going to be looked after in society. It's not going to be really an issue. You don't even have to get a job. All you have to do is look pretty, and everything comes to you. But is that person lacking at all? I mean, what have they lacked out on? Have they lost out on? Have they gone through hardship? Have they had to use determination and effort? Have they really had to push themselves to maximum potential in order for them to discover themselves fully and know their strengths and weaknesses? And have they been pushed to a point where they've had to overcome certain weaknesses, relearn certain elements about themselves? Possibly not. Possibly not. I'm not saying it's always that way. But if you're the outsider, if you're the ugly omen, the person that doesn't look necessarily aesthetically pleasing when it comes down to societal's belief on what a person should look like, then it's going to be a different reality. It's going to be a different perception for you all the way, isn't it? But actually, that person still has a capacity to utilise their mind, body, and soul. Maybe that person's absolutely fantastic in mathematics, or holds a capability of having a photographic memory, is an artist, a poet, for instance, a natural poet, but they look displeasing to the majority of society. Again, people have to overcome their element of division, judging a book by its cover. Everybody has something to offer you. I believe every single human being has something to give here. There's always something more to learn. An interaction with another human being is an interaction with oneself. And what we need to do is, the more interactions that we have, not demonic interactions, but natural interactions. And if we can pass over the element of division and falsity and garnish, again, bullshit. And if we can go back to the natural qualities of a normal human being, where we've surpassed the falsity and the garnish and the mask, and we go back to really what makes the human being tick, that's when we really start to discover about oneself, and possibly that individual finds out a little bit more about themselves as well. This is their capacity to be able to learn. Dispel with all the bullshit, and then we go back to brass tacks. So many times I've spoken to a human being in many different areas of life, and they feel a natural capacity to be able to communicate with me, to talk with me, to express themselves. Often is the case that a human being finds themselves with me on a one-to-one, for instance, and they turn around and they go, well, I find it easy to be able to communicate with you. You become non-judgmental. You're not judgmental. You take me for the human being that's inside, not on the outside scale, not on face value. You're interested in who I truly am inside, whatever source that may be, what makes me tick. And because of your experiences in life, you also seem to have a capacity to empathise. And empathy is key. Empathy is key in being able to allow a positive interaction with one human being to another, I feel. And often is the case is that human being then breaks down. They cry. It's often the case. They fall apart. And they don't feel ashamed about it, and neither should they either. It's a release for them. it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. That's what it is. They break through something. They break through a barrier that's been set up constantly until that moment that they feel a natural capacity to be able to express themselves in whichever way they wish to. And they break free. They break free, and I've done that with people. I've had that capacity. People find themselves capable of being able to break free, but not all the time. And unfortunately, when I found myself in some positions where it would have been nice to allow that individual to be able to not break down, but break free of the chains in which they've put themselves in, which have been thrust upon them. I suppose when we were talking earlier, that was something I lost out on with that one individual I found myself in a relationship with. That might come for that individual at a later date, and it might not come from me. Probably, very definitely it won't come from me, because there's a good chance I'll never see that individual again in my life, and there's not going to be an interaction there, which is a shame, because I've talked about that before in the past. I do believe that there is something that we could do together that could be beneficial for the majority of mankind. But in realistic terminology, when we look at the world, when we look at the reality, and because of ego and because of fear and because of crap and because the world is the way it is, there's a very, very good chance that individual will not break free. And I won't be able to achieve what it is that I wanted to achieve for the benefit of the individual, myself, and for the benefit of mankind. There's a very good chance that that's not going to happen. Not in this incarnation. Not in this incarnation. Which I find is a little bit disappointing, because it would be nice to be able to feel like I've done something positive at least once in my time in this reality. But hey, you can't force a scenario or situation. What you can do, in fact, you can manipulate it. In fact, if you're aware, you can manipulate any situation into the advantage you want. But that's through normally demonic manipulation. It's not what I'm about. There are certain natural things that need to be allowed to happen. Going back to that element of natural synchronisticism. Now let's think about it for a second. Maybe, just maybe, we move forward, and I move forward, and I survive the next week or month here in Sabah, where I find myself in this reality, this earth that I find myself in, and possibly something comes back from my past